I don't normally do videos like this. And tomorrow you won't be seeing any videos from me at all. I'll be busy. But, this is going to be a slight bit of a rant, but this needs to be talked about. And I have a question for all you left-leaning people out there. Why can't you ever tell the truth about stuff? Is it really so hard for you to tell the truth? Is it really that difficult? And even if it is, so what? Don't you think the truth is worth the effort? Or would you rather just listen to sugary-coated, good-sounding lies just because they sound good? Oh, that one? Oh, yeah. The fact that you can't ever tell the truth shows that the facts and evidence are not on your side. The truth is an inconvenience to you. Because you live in a fantasy. Called socialism. Now, in reference to anything feminism related or abortion related, which is what this video will primarily be about, particularly that second one, I'm going to reference something you lefties find so frightening. The Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. Alright? Misogynist. Or, no. Misogynistic. Pronounced misogynistic. Definition. Feeling, showing, or characterized by hatred of women, of relating to or being a misogynist. Misogynist. Noun. Pronounced misogynist. Definition of misogynists. A person who hates women. Or characterized by or expressing misogyny or hatred of women. Misogyny. Noun. Misogyny. Definition. A hatred of women. Now, if you're wondering what this video will be about, it's about the Georgia heartbeat bill, which the left so neatly claimed would criminalize miscarriages and send women to jail for miscarriages. But is that really true? No, it isn't. And I'm about to prove it to you. First, we will examine the left's claim, quite neatly characterized in an article by The Guardian. Warning, this article may cause spontaneous laughter for any conservative who actually knows even anything about science, or libertarian. You know, any non-left person is going to read this, and you're going to be laughing so hard you're going to fall on your back and your feet are going to be kicking up in the air. I hope I can remain breathing. Anyway, the article reads, Georgia's 6-week abortion ban reveals the cruelty of anti-choice movement. Oh, already we've got a new name for pro-choice. Under the new law, it's possible that Georgia authorities could start treating every miscarriage as a potential homicide. The anti-choice movement has taken a sadistic turn in Georgia, where a new abortion ban called HB 481 has just been signed by Governor Brian Kemp. Signed into law this Tuesday and due to take effect in 2020, the bill effectively bans abortion outright, declares fetuses to be persons with full legal rights and protections, and imposes prison sentences for women found guilty of aborting or attempting to abort their pregnancies. The bill is misleadingly termed a heartbeat bill, and it bans abortions at any stage of pregnancy after the detection of embryonic or fetal cardiac activity. But heartbeat is a bit of a misnomer, since the cardiac activity that is first detected in an embryo is not a heartbeat by any stretch of the imagination. What is first observed is the pulsing of cells that are specializing. Oh, hold on a second. Excuse me, whoa. Woohoo! Oh my god, that is so stupid, it's fucking hilarious. I didn't know that, hold on. I didn't know that stem cells specializing had a sound or made a sound. Considering that cells are microscopic, and if even if they did make a sound, you wouldn't be able to hear it. Oh, that is good. And will eventually become a heart. At this point in the pregnancy, the fetus has no brain and no face. This cellular movement can first be detected at a phase of pregnancy referred to as 6 weeks of gestation. But this too is a misleading phrase. Gestational age is measured not from insemination, but from the beginning of the patient's last menstrual period. So the bill bans all abortions at 4 weeks after conception, or roughly 2 weeks after the woman's first missed period. And this is their first big real mistake in this article, because they actually link, I'll give them credit for this, they link to the Mayo Clinic. Now, they claim that you're hearing these movement of cells at the 4th week, this pulsing. You know what's going on in the 4th week of pregnancy? The rapidly dividing ball of cells, now known as a blastocyst, has begun to burrow into the uterine lining, or endometrium. This process is called implantation. Within the blastocyst, the inner group of cells will become the embryo. The outer layer will give rise to part of the placenta, which will nourish your baby throughout the pregnancy. The pulsing of cells specializing. The heartbeat at 4 weeks. Before it's even implanted in the uterus. Good job! Actually, the heartbeat is detected at 6 weeks, precisely as the bill proclaims. Thank you. And that's from the fucking Mayo Clinic. Good job. This stage of pregnancy is often passed before the patient even knows that she is pregnant. This is the idea to make the logistical, legal, and monetary burdens to access an abortion so heavy that most women will not be able to get one. All this is justified by moralizing, misogynistic, and medically arbitrary logic based on a fantasy that wants to equate the movement of cells with personhood. Based on this logic, women who abort their pregnancies, and probably some women who have accidental miscarriages, will be treated as murderers. Under the law, subject to imprisonment and even capital punishment, those who have the state of an abortion or who help others leave the state for an abortion can be charged with a conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to up to 10 years in prison. It is tempting to imagine that the law would not be enforced this way, that prosecutors and juries would not enforce a law that forces women to give birth and threatens to kill them if they refuse. But prosecutors have proved themselves zealous in prosecuting women in states where abortion is already de facto illegal. It would be a mistake to underestimate their capacity for cruelty. They're lawyers. It's not about cruelty. It's about winning. Everyone knows lawyers are corrupt. I mean, come on. That's not really new. Heartbeat bills are nothing new. Deja vu. They have been signed into law in 6 states: Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Dakota, Ohio, and now Georgia. Just since the beginning of this year, in the past, heartbeat bills were put forth by state legislatures as deliberate legal provocations. They were designed to provoke lawsuits from women's and civil rights groups that could go to federal court and chip away at the edges of Roe v. Wade. Opinion, not fact. They were expensive, experimental, taxpayer-funded misadventures, in misogynist, there's that word again, litigating that were designed to provoke a lot of controversy. Rally, the anti-choice movement eventually gets struck down, which most of them were. It's not certain, but it's highly likely that HB 481, will be blocked or delayed by a federal court before it goes into effect on the 1st of January 2020. For now, it's still legal to get an abortion in Georgia. But we're not living under the same legal regime that we were a year ago. The new slew of 6-week abortion bans is a direct result of the appointment of the multiply accused sexual assault perpetrator Brett Kavanaugh, who was exonerated, all but, to the Supreme Court, where anti-choice conservatives now hold a 5-4 majority and can dismantle or strike down Roe v. Wade at any time. Before these bills were passed by lawmakers who knew they would be struck down, but who wanted to test the limits of Roe, to see how stringent and outlandish a state could make its abortion restrictions and still have these restrictions deemed legal, now they are designed to eliminate Roe altogether, and to throw questions of abortion legality back into individual states, many of which will immediately ban it. Well, it would be a states' rights issue. The government seems to have an issue with that, finding the line between states' rights and federal authority. It's a very fine line to walk. When Justice Anthony Kennedy, now retired, was on the Supreme Court, these states had little chance of having outright abortion bans like HB 481 upheld. Now with Kavanaugh on the court, the door is wide open for misogynist laws to make, there's that word again, legal clinic-based abortion access a thing of the past in large swaths of the United States. To some extent, this has already happened since the landmark 1922 ruling Planned Parenthood v. Casey. The Supreme Court has held that states may not impose an undue burden on abortion access before fetal viability, roughly 24 weeks gestation, but states have been generous to anti-choice interests in interpreting what burdens on abortion access are undue. They have been able to impose long waiting periods, arbitrary expensive facility standards for clinics, mandatory ultrasounds, including vaginal ultrasounds for patients, and mandates that abortion providers read false and misleading statements saying that fetuses can feel pain, which they cannot, according to the article, and that abortion increases a woman's risk of cancer, which it does not, according to the article, or that women who have had abortion exhibit severe psychological ramifications. They do not, according to the article. They have been able to ban state Medicaid plans from covering abortion, and they have been able to keep insurance companies from covering abortion. They've been able to make it too logistically hard, time-consuming, and far too expensive for many women to get an abortion in a medical clinic. This does not mean, however, that abortions are not happening. Instead of self-induced, self-managed abortions are on the rise again in the United States before Roe. Self-induced abortions are risky, violent, and dangerous. Women would attempt to pierce, it says piece in the article as a spelling error. They need an editor. Their cervixes with knitting needles or coat hangers, and they would puncture organs and suffer infection, hemorrhage, and sepsis. Women would drink bleach and poison themselves. Now self-managed abortions are largely safe and effective because the face of self-managed abortion has changed. Self-induced abortions no longer looks like a coat hanger, it looks like a pill. Okay, that puts a weird image in my head. Misoprostol, a drug that can be used to treat ulcers but also to empty the uterus, is prescribed by abortion clinics as the second of 2 abortion drugs, along with mifepristone, which is used first to loosen the lining of the uterus. Mifepristone is hard to find on the black market because it is subject to tight regulations. But misoprostol can easily be found on the internet, and it can end a pregnancy on its own. It's overwhelmingly effective during the first 10 weeks of pregnancy. Especially for a woman with an average BMI, the effect of the medication looks identical to an accidental miscarriage. If the patient doesn't tell anyone she induced, then no one needs to know. However, under the new law, it's at least possible that Georgia authorities could start treating every miscarriage as a potential homicide. Women who are able to self-induce at home with black market misoprostol might be relatively more safe than their grandmothers who had to use coat hangers and knitting needles. That doesn't mean that the cops won't start asking questions. Yes, so in short, they're trying to say that this bill is born out of a hatred of women, and they also claim that the bill itself would criminalize miscarriage. But is that true? Nope! Because guess what? Over here on a little-known conservative webpage called the MRC TV, which, by the way, has a link to the actual bill, whereas the left-wing article didn't. In short, they're lying. See, according to this article, rather than face the very basic biological fact that the unborn children are fully human from the moment of conception and deserve at the very least to be protected once their distinct heartbeats can be picked up by an ultrasound monitor, abortion advocates online are already spreading dangerous lies about Georgia's recently signed heartbeat bill, which bans most elective abortions once a fetal heartbeat can be detected at around 6 weeks. One of the most prominent, most heinous myths being spread around about the bill is the outrageous claim that it would criminalize women for having miscarriages. Again, here's a link to the bill so you can read it for yourself. But they're going to go ahead and highlight the relevant parts below for us. And you know what? I'll put the link to the bill in the video description so you guys can read it too. How about that? In the bill, the language makes a clear and very deliberate distinction between an abortion defined as the act of using, prescribing, or administering any instrument, substance, device, or other means with the purpose to terminate pregnancy with knowledge that termination will, with reasonable likelihood, cause the death of an unborn child, and a spontaneous abortion defined as the naturally occurring death of an unborn child, including a miscarriage or stillbirth. The bill also states verbatim that any such act shall not be considered an abortion if the act is performed with the purpose of A, removing a dead unborn child caused by spontaneous abortion, or removing an ectopic pregnancy. The English couldn't be more plain. However, that's not stopping pro-abortion advocates on social media of buying into the dangerous myth that the Georgia law would not only keep women from obtaining health care for miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies, but they could actually be criminalized and face jail time for having a miscarriage. Now, I guess lying and fear-mongering is just easier than the truth when the truth is inconvenient for you. Now here's what the bill actually says, rather than just using article quotes. This is from the bill itself, from the relevant section. Medical emergency means a point 97. Pardon. A medical emergency means a condition in which an abortion is necessary in order to prevent the death of the pregnant woman or the substantial and irreversible physical impairment of a major bodily function, of the pregnant woman. No such great risk shall be deemed to exist if it is based on a diagnosis or claim of mental or emotional condition of the pregnant woman, or that pregnant woman will purposefully engage in conduct which she intends to result in her death, or in substantial and irreversible physical impairment of a major bodily function. Medically futile means that in reasonable medical judgment, an unborn child has a profound and irremediable congenital or chromosomal anomaly that is incompatible with sustaining life after birth. Spontaneous abortion means the naturally occurring death of an unborn child, including miscarriage or stillbirth. At point 87, as used in the article, the term abortion means the act of using, prescribing, or administering any instrument, substance, device, or other means with the purpose to terminate pregnancy, with knowledge that termination will, with reasonable likelihood, cause the death of an unborn child, provided, however, that any such act shall not be considered an abortion if the act is performed with the purpose of A, removing a dead unborn child caused by spontaneous abortion, or removing an ectopic pregnancy. Detectable human heartbeat means embryonic or fetal cardiac activity at 6 weeks, or the steady and repetitive rhythmic contraction of the heart within the gestational sac. They lied! Because that's what the left does. They lie. They try and change the definitions of words or use an alternative definition that suits their agenda. They use the mainstream media to spread their lies. It's sickening, isn't it? Telling the truth is just so fucking hard for these people. It's like they've never seen Liar Liar before. Probably one of my all-time favorite Jim Carrey movies. It's hilarious and it has a good meaning. That the truth is worth the effort. And it's not so ugly after all. Because the truth was, he did love his son. Huh? There's always a little bit of beauty in the truth. But, you know, the left will choose not to see that beauty because it doesn't suit them. You know what I mean? The bill doesn't actually criminalize miscarriage. And as the point of earlier, my definition of misogyny, they claim that these bills are born out of misogyny, a hatred of women. Well, the thing is, that's just an opinion. They think that anything that is against abortion is automatically misogynistic. But maybe it's not. Maybe being anti-abortion just means you really love babies. That's how it is for me anyway. I just don't like baby killing. It's nothing to do with whether I love or hate women. I just don't want to see baby killing. And a lot of these left-wingers are baby killers. Straight up. And I think they should be treated that way. Anyway, rant over. There you go. They lied. Lambast me for my opinion if you must. But go for it. I don't care. We'll talk about it. Maybe I'll troll the loving shit out of the ever-loving shit out of you. There you go. Lying sons of bitches. Just tell the truth. Not that hard.